Hi folks, right, just a little mishmash of bits. Yeah, I'm like this. I just finished doing the little bit of tea drinking etiquette video, so I weren't going to change. So, talking about tea, back at it again. Here you go. In my Lady Bampress mug today. So there you go. Ah, it's lovely. That's without using any bloody etiquette. Anyway, just one or two odds and sods today. Maybe I should call the video Odds and Sods. Maybe I won't, maybe I will. Anyway, I'm only doing it because I did get one or two bits a day, and I'm going to talk about one or two other bits. Plus, I want to ask a question, see if you've got any idea at the end. So, what I'm going to start off with. Yeah. I went to town today, wasn't planning on buying anything. I never plan on buying anything. But, you know me. And I went in the shop. Well, I didn't. I looked in the window and was in the window. And I don't need them, but I have got room for them. So I bought them. There was two. And it's this. It looks that way. Hey, you can see it on me today, black on white. Yeah, that's one. Or is it? That's one. Well, actually, that is one. And if you look there, there's two little holes. That actually goes onto the wall, but it goes that way up. So now, gives you some idea. Screw that to your wall, and I don't actually happen to have one nearby. It hasn't got a spike, so the choice is yours what goes on top. Could put something else on, I suppose, but candles, a nice thick pillar candle. That'll look lovely on the wall somewhere. It will probably go in the hallway, or, thinking about it, might go in the bedroom. But there's two of those. So that's a really nice buy. And the only other thing I got today was, went nosing in a normal little shop, and it was that. So it's a lovely little, I assume it was a scent bottle. If you notice there, the level is just there. Then it's glass at the bottom, solid glass. I'd hazard a guess that you paid a fair bit for the bottle. The perfume was in it. But with it being solid glass that far up, you didn't get quite as much perfume as the bottle looked. Now, this doesn't move unless you take the top off. If you take the top off, and I don't normally buy anything in gold colour, I like to buy pewter or silver, but this is just flipping neat. Look at that. If you take the lid off, if you take the stopper off, then that will actually move and that will come off, and you just get the bottle. But that's what tipped the balance, that just a nice bottle, so perfume can go in that or whatever. On the other hand, especially if I take that off, whiskey, just a nice little one to go in the old sporran, eh? But whatever, put whatever you want in it. Milk, talking about milk. Yeah, so really that was the two bits today. Only other bits I wanted to talk about was yesterday did a video with a little hourglass. We was trying to decide what the motif was on the top, this little man with a scythe and that. And one of the two ideas come up. Peter, who follows me, just sent a message, said it, yeah, it was Father Time. Can't remember the rest of the bit, but it was something to do with the Romans or Greeks or something or the other. And I can't remember what god it was now, but it's some particular god, and obviously he would have had the wings and all that. Probably a precursor to what we call Old Father Time. I do not really know. Ask Peter. So yeah, that was that. And then I did look up on the internet and I found it. And I bought mine for £5, and without trying to figure out what the going rate is, I've seen one on the internet going for $70. So I know that's a little bit higher than £5. But saying that, I don't buy things to make money on. I buy them because I like them, they look nice, and I want to look at them. So if it's got a little bit of money in it, that's fine, but it doesn't bother me. So yeah, that's a little update on that. The other little update, I showed also the little sailing ship, which I call Dracula's ship. This is sailed into Whitby. And I had to take it off the unit in the bedroom because I put these on it. Now you see, with those on it, I can't have the ship on it. So I used to have a ship and a couple of other bits. So the ship for a couple of days was stood down here in harbour, and today I thought it's got to go somewhere, so I shifted a couple of little bits out of this window, and the two wrought iron pieces I bought a long time ago that have candles on, pull them apart and fit the boat in there. So that's what it looks like now. And I'm really chuffed with that. I quite like that in the window. It's a boat I've always started looking at, and when it's in the bedroom you tend to be asleep, so you don't see it very much. So there, I'm really pleased with it there. What was stood in its place beforehand, now this is what I like through the year. Halloween, you can get gothy bits and everything, but if you look around at other different times, Christmas, summer, whatever, there'll always be something that fits in some way or another. And a couple of years ago, went in the shop, garden section, this was in there, and I thought, I bloody like that, I'm having it. And it was this. And this was stood where the boat is now. And it's that. A little grotesque. Now, while I'm talking about grotesque, I might as well have a bit of a talk about these, because people get it wrong, and people get it wrong. The internet gets it wrong. I see sites on the internet that get it wrong. I see sites on the internet that are more or less about these sort of things, and looking at old buildings and whatever, get it wrong. Manufacturers that make them and sell them get it wrong. Shops that sell them under the wrong name. So I'll give you a clue as to what I'm talking about. Why is this? Well, what would you call this? Because most people would say this is a gargoyle. I love your gargoyle. And it does sort of look like a gargoyle, doesn't it? But what's the difference? This is a grotesque. What's the difference between a grotesque and a gargoyle? Here's the difference. A gargoyle is a fancy water spout, for the want of a better word. So on a church, on an old building, whatever, where the guttering is, the roof or whatever, the corners or part way along a building where the water's coming down, you would get a gargoyle. And the gargoyle would be at the end of channels where that water would come, and it might look like that. But a gargoyle, if you look at it, it'd be sitting there, and generally it's got its mouth really wide open, and you can tell when you look at it, the water comes, so it probably wouldn't be upright like that. If it was a gargoyle, it'd probably be at that angle, so it'd be level, and the face would be up a bit further, so the water would come out the mouth and it would spout it away from the side of the building. So it wouldn't have a pipe going to the floor, but water would come down into the gargoyle, through the gargoyle, out the mouth, and the mouth would project it forward. So if you're stood down there, you get a freaking wet neck. But yeah, gargoyle, think water spout. So it'd be on the corners of a big building, or if it was central or anywhere, it'd be where water met, came in the gargoyle, a fancy water spout. This is a grotesque. Now, the same old Gothic buildings would get grotesques. Some would sit on roofs, on the edges, little plinths. Some would sit in little alcoves. So on a wall you might get a little alcove with a grotesque in it. You find them in lots of places. And they're exactly what they're saying, the grotesque little buggers. And I'm not quite sure exactly why they're there, but I think they were just little protectors and things like that. You sort of thought, better bloody hate myself with that thing there, whatever. But whatever, they were just fancy little grotesques. So when you go in a shop or somebody says, hey, look at my gargoyle, just think to yourself, is that a gargoyle? Is it grotesque? And if you've got a grotesque, then now you can call it a grotesque rather than a gargoyle. And it's just as nice that we call the grotesque. You don't have to say, oh, I've got a gargoyle. No, you've got a grotesque. It's a grotesque. So yeah, that's about it, apart from the last bit, which you might be able to give me an idea of what to do. I want to do something. I've been wanting to do something for a while. Now if you look at this picture, now that picture is at the end of my bed. If you imagine my bed's there in front of you, that's at the bed end on the wall. It's a big clock, about it's a double bed. That clock's about this wide by about this. It's a massive heavy metal one. It's got the usual attachment on the back, which I put it on the wall with, and then I put about 3 more big screws through to hold it, because I thought the last thing I want is that flipping sliding off the wall in the night and freaking crowning me, because it would crown me. So curtains with that, the coffin lid with a sword, that's all fine. The candle's fine, but as you see, the wall is always, when I first did it, it was a sort of greyish green wallpaper. But within the curtains, I want to change that. So if you've got an idea what you think would look good, would a block colour look good? If it's a block colour, what block colour? Black obviously is probably going to be too much with the black curtains and everything. Do we do a brightish red? Do we do a really nice dark evil looking red, sort of a Victorian dark red? Do we do that really dark, gorgeous, like Victorian green? I always call them Victorian because that's what it reminds me of. But it's a very dark, gorgeous green. There's a very dark, gorgeous red. Dark purple. Do I just hang curtain in there? Some more net curtain of a lace curtain of a different colour. Have you got a different idea, totally different to that? I did think of a Victorian style flock wallpaper, which is again probably the dark Victorian green or the dark Victorian red, grey or whatever, and it has the pattern, Victorian pattern in it that's when you put your hands on it you can feel the pattern, and it's made of flock. That's why I suppose it's called flock wallpaper. But when you look at it, it looks like it's made out of velvet. Do I put something like that in? So if you got an idea what you think would look good in there, in what is the rest of my bedroom, if you want to put a thing down there, give me an idea, I would be very grateful. But yeah, after that, it's a sip of cold tea, which actually isn't that cold. I'm going to get off here, take this bloody stuff off, put something on that I feel a bit freer in, take the tie off,